So for this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a clay project using Slab Template option number 2, which is a square container or a box. So before you begin, make sure you have all your supplies. Make sure you've got your clay. You need to have a cloth. Make sure you've got 2 of the slab guides. You need your rolling pin, your plastic knife, fork, and spoon. And then you need to have your little square piece already cut out. So the first thing that I'm going to do with my little piece of clay is I'm just going to flatten it slightly with my hands, just kind of mashing it. This will make it a little bit easier if it's not in that block form to roll it out. And then I'm going to set it so that it is longer than it is tall. And the first thing I'm going to do is just try to flatten it so that it is as wide as my square. So pick it up. By picking your clay up repeatedly as you flatten it, it unsticks it from the towel and it makes it just a little bit easier to roll since it's not stuck to the towel. Make sure that your rolling pin is sitting on both of the guides. And keep rolling. Now, once this is wide enough that it fits, you can go ahead and turn it so that it becomes the long ways, because you want a long piece to roll out since you're trying to cut several squares. You need 5 squares. Okay, all your squares need to be about the same size. So once this is wide enough to fit, go ahead and turn your slab sideways and then roll this out to the longest piece possible. Now you will have to roll this out, cut as many pieces as you can. Okay, so lay it down. You can probably get about 2 pieces cut from this, roll it up and do the same. Okay, so this will take a couple different pieces of clay, but you can go ahead and roll and cut this out. Now, to make the video a little bit shorter, I went ahead and rolled out and cut all of the pieces. So the first thing that you want is you want to get your base piece, and you're going to use your fork, and you want to go around and you want to score all the way around. Now, when you're doing this, make sure you work on your tabletop. If you feel like your clay is getting stuck, just pick it up periodically and move it. But don't work on the towel because the towel will dry out your clay. Okay, next I'm going to take one of the pieces that are going to be my side pieces, and I'm going to score the end by just dragging some lines. Now, if this is going to be my bottom that sits on the side here, we want to kind of miter these edges, or you want to cut the edges that are going to attach the top at an angle. So I'm just going to kind of lay this flat, and you lay it flat on your tabletop. And the goal is to try to cut it at about a 45-degree angle. If it's not like perfectly 45 degrees, it's not a big deal. But notice how when we take a look at this, this is cut at an angle now as opposed to perfectly flat like that. So I want to do that to both of my sides. And I want to cut it so that the longer side is on the outside, and then kind of my shorter edge is going to be along the inside. So for this one, I would want to trim this down like so. This makes it a little bit easier to join and connect your sides. So after you do that, you can go ahead and score these sides. And you need to do that for all 4 of your sides. Okay. Now, after you've done that on all 4 sides, you're going to dab some slip on the bottom piece. You're going to dab some slip all the way up the side. And then you're going to dab some slip all the way up the other side. When you are ready for the slip, raise your hand and let me know. I have the slip already made up in a container for you. And then this is also kind of an important tip and step for you to know. So before you get ready to add that, don't try to attach a single side or slab to your base. You want to make sure that you have at least 2 of the walls ready to go and ready to attach before you do that. Okay, so make sure that you've got 2 sides ready. Score them. Now, I don't actually have to dab on slip to the sides on this one because the slip's already on this little side piece. So when I'm ready to go, you're going to attach this wall and this wall, put them right next to each other, and then you want to kind of stand up over your project, make sure it kind of goes well, it's the edge, and then press very firmly, kind of pinch and squeeze this together, and you should see some of the slip kind of ooze out as you do that. So press that together firmly, come around and press the wall to the base rather firmly, and then you can also pick this up and turn this and kind of press firmly this way all the way around. You want to make sure that you are getting a really firm connection between your scored edges and your slip. Okay, so now we've got kind of the base and we've got 2 walls set up here. You want to take some of this extra little bit of clay that you have, so pull off a small little amount in your hand, kind of squeeze it, roll it in between your hands so it forms a little bit of a cylinder, and you need to roll out a very small thin coil, about the thickness of a colored pencil, maybe even thinner. So when you roll out your coils, make sure that your hands and your fingers are pointed upward. Make sure that you use your whole hand. Okay, so go all the way from your fingertips all the way back to the base of your wrist, so that your coil is round and not flat. Don't try to roll like this with your hands. You need a big, large area to roll this out. And we just want a long, thin coil. So you can use both hands or you can just go from one to the other. Okay, then you're going to take your coil and I'm going to press it rather firmly into that corner. I take my knife and cut it off where the next wall goes. I'm going to do the same along the bottom. Just kind of start at the corner and press it in all the way out. Keep your other hand on the back side so you're not pushing your walls off of the project. Oops. And then use the rest on this kind of wall seam. So what this coil is going to do is it's going to give you a little extra clay that you can use to connect and join together the walls with the base. Okay, so periodically pick this up so it doesn't get stick to the table, and then you're going to use your spoon and you are going to push and smooth that clay in to the base on both sides. And then you're going to put your hand on the back side and you are going to connect and smooth that coil in to the walls also. Now, I think it's a little bit easier to pick this up and turn it, even though it's the walls. I think it's easier to push the clay down and pull it up than try to drag it sideways. That's just a personal preference. You connect that any way you want. So once you've gone through with your spoon, then come in with your finger and kind of drag your finger along those seams and those edges to smooth them out, and that'll make just a nicer looking inside to your project. Okay, and you're going to do the exact same thing for your other walls. Make sure that the edges are mitered. Make sure that each side that's going to connect, you score that really well, dab on some slip, press them in firmly, and then roll out a real thin coil. Make sure the coil goes on that inside edge and seam all the way around on all four sides. And that's how you put together and construct your square project.